2016, the world lost maybe one of the most unique and colorful, most prolific, inventive, artistic creators of music that the world has ever known, Prince. The days leading up to his death were quite interesting and mysterious, and the world was completely shocked when he passed. So we're at his home and recording studio, and we're going to tell you about the last week or 2 weeks of Prince's life and what happened and how it shocked the world when he passed away. Daze with Jordan the Lion, beautiful Katie, begins right now. So I think the best way to tell this story is to start at his home, Paisley Park. And this is all fan art in a little passageway in front of his house that he used to ride his bike through to ride all over town. And you'll see in front of us that there's a gate that kind of separates the property, and it continues ever since he died to be decorated with loving memorabilia and thank yous for a man that many people never got to meet, and many of his fans in Minnesota did. He loved his fans. There's so many stories about him just showing up and inviting people to Paisley Park here to attend a private concert, and he would just perform for people all night long. Rainbow Children. When he passed, his sister, his only sister, was one of the people who became responsible for his estate, and she's done a great job making it available to the fans the way he wanted, because this wasn't just a home or recording studio. When I took the tour, they said he had always intended it to be a museum after he passed, and so they've made that available. However, his sister just recently died, so I'm not sure what the future will be. Let's go take a look at the house. So this is Paisley Park. It was this giant building, and it was also this circular building over here. Now Prince created this, and it eventually became his home and recording studio. It was said that originally it was a commercial studio, and that various people had recorded there, movies had set up there and done, like Grumpy Old Men, I know, had created the sets of Ariel's house here, and they did that there. And then Prince closed that off in the 90s and just made it his private studio and his home where he would entertain friends and create music for, you know, the rest of his life. All hours of the day, anytime he was inspired to do so, he could do so here. So it's on April 7th that Prince saw his doctor because he wasn't feeling well, and he was recommended to cancel his show in Atlanta. So April 7th he canceled the shows because he was feeling ill with the flu, and then immediately rescheduled to make them up on the following week. So on the 14th he did in fact show up, but the concert promoter said when he got there, he did say that he was feeling ill. Said that he showed up an hour before the show, performed the show, did a great show, but just wanted to get to his plane and leave, which was very uncustomary of Prince. He liked to always throw after parties and entertain people, and this time he just wanted to go. And that was our first serious time that we knew something was wrong, because on his flight home from Atlanta to Minnesota, things got very scary.
it was widely known that Prince always really wanted to be home. There's a great interview with one of his backup singers. Her name was Judith Hill, and she was actually on the plane, and she had reported that he was feeling very weak. He had been battling the flu, but he really just wanted to get home after he did those makeup shows, because he was also someone who never wanted to not make up a show. Like, that would have been heartbreaking. So it was mid-air that she basically said that she saw him almost slip away, and they knew
his eyes just locked, right?
Yes, his eyes just locked, and then she said it was almost like you could see the life coming right out of him. And that's when they had to make the call down to, I think ultimately Moline was the first place that they had any chance of getting a clear landing at the time, and that's when they had to have an emergency crew of first responders distribute Narcan.
Yeah, and actually we're going to put in the FAA call that the pilots made and let you hear what they told the ground crew and everything as they were coming in.
Yes.
Jet speed 990, clear visual approach to the Quad City Airport.
Clear for visual, jet speed 990.
What's the nature of the emergency? What's the nature of the
An
condition?
unresponsive passenger.
Do you know male, female, age, anything?
I do not know that. The West here was getting some of that. He told me unresponsive passenger. That's
Okay.
all I got out of the West.
Got it.
Okay. You're still on the air. Jet speed 990. We did call the Quad City Airport. Hopefully they'll have someone standing by for you.
Thank you.
Jet speed 990. Was it a male or female passenger?
Hey there.
Male passenger.
990. Change to my frequency 118.75.
1875.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
The crash fire rescue said they want him to go.
1875. We're planning on just flying runway 27, jet speed 990.
I'm sorry, what?
They'd like him to go to the west end of the north ramp.
West End North Ramp.
Yeah.
Jet speed 990. CFR will be waiting. They want you to go to the on the west end of the north ramp.
West end of the north ramp. Thank you.
And they say male, female. What did he say? I heard something.
I did not. And 990 was a male or female? I'm sorry, I missed it.
A male passenger.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So once they landed, the story was that he was completely out of it, and they had to, like you said, give him 2 shots of Narcan just to get him up, and they advised him not to leave the hospital, but he didn't want to stay.
Nope, they would have advised that they wanted him to stay for at least 24 hours. And reportedly, it was only after about 3 that Prince checked himself out and said, no, I want to go home. And ultimately, that's when they made the call to get him back up here to Minnesota, and that's when he pretty much returned right here to Paisley.
So while Prince was at the hospital before he came home, he actually did, I guess, admit to taking 2 pain pills, but some other people had said they had seen him take something else. So the kind of the backstory was that, according to one of Prince's doctors, he said that Prince suffered from immense stage fright and also gave him pain pills because he had really bad hips from all the years performing. Prince was just in a lot of pain, and so a lot of people didn't know that he had been addicted to pain pills throughout his life and had battled trying to come off of those. They were nice enough to let us come into the park and hit the museum store so you can see a little bit before we leave of the design. And Prince was an avid basketball player. If you ever have heard any of the stories of Dave Chappelle and the basketball games, here was the court. I don't know that this was the same thing that was there at the time, but pretty cool to see. And we'll show you the front of it as well, front of the building. Here's the official entrance. If you were to take the tour, you would enter right up there in those doors. I've done the tour before, and Katie's done the tour before, and they usually have you lock up your phone. You have no access to your phone until the end of the tour. Prince's ashes used to be on display here, but they are no longer. They have a plaque at the bottom that says, "For love is the color this place imparts. Admission is easy, just say you believe and come to this place in your heart. Paisley Park is in your heart." And then below it, it has a little brief bio of Prince where it says, born in Minneapolis to humble beginnings, Prince Rogers Nelson, also known as Skipper, embodied the journey from child prodigy to international superstar. There's some plants in front of it, so I'm trying to read around them. Prince's musical powers, iconic style, and zest for life secured his legacy as a cultural icon. Yeah, it was said that Prince could play just about every instrument and wrote his first song when he was 7. And he always said when he was a kid that he was going to play every kind of music and never let anyone pigeonhole him into one thing. It says with a career spanning over 4 decades, Prince's unparalleled talents, innovative leadership, and defiance changed the boundaries of entertainment in ways that will be observed for years to come. Paisley Park is more than a place. It's a love story that chronicles Prince's musical journey, his style, evolution, diligence, free-spirited creativity, and culture that now serve as the cornerstone of his legacy. Welcome to Paisley Park. So there it is. 7801. So where he passed, if you walk right in the front doors, there's kind of an entry room, and then you go just past there, then immediately to your left would be where the elevator was that they've closed up, that he was found passed out in. And there's one of his tour buses right there. Now we're gonna go to a record store and tell a little bit of a story about what happened on Record Store Day, which was the 16th. But on the evening of the 16th, Prince actually hosted a concert here for his fans and debuted a purple piano that he had, did a show, and actually told him, hey, save your prayers. I'm not, you know, I'm not in that bad a shape, basically. So he was, at least during that time, well enough to perform a show here for his fans. So we're at Electric Fetus. Katie, tell us about Electric Fetus.
Well, this was a record store that was opened up kind of in the late, kind of mid-late 60s, and this was kind of coined as the Haight-Ashbury kind of neighborhood in the area. So Prince would have spent a lot of time getting any sort of his kind of cool indie music. He spent actually some of his last time shopping here on Record Store Day. They said he had a big stack of CDs ranging from Stevie Wonder to Joni Mitchell. So it was one of his places where he was frequently seen. He liked to pick out music, and I think he was even said to have hosted certain little events here as well. So it was a place where he spent a lot of time.
Yeah, and they did actually interview the owner because Prince was here, like Katie said, on Record Store Day, which was that year. It was April 16th that year. It's like kind of a changing day all the time, but Prince had just been here, and he said that Prince was well dressed, looked a little bit sick, a little bit, you know, a little timid-ish looking, but said other than that, he was kind of his normal jovial self, was here for about a half an hour, and like Katie said, he bought a few CDs, and said other than that, there was really nothing out of the ordinary for it. And if you go inside, right up there on the wall, there's pictures of Prince. Gotta love it. Yeah, she was right. They did say he shopped here pretty much as his primary record store. This is a great record store. I mean, they have tons and tons of stuff. And I just noticed if you're a turntable fan, you need a slip disc for your turntable. They have Prince ones. And that's probably where he would have paid for his records. And right here, actually, in the middle of the store, there's a whole section where you can buy Prince books, Prince-inspired clothing. If you buy this book, it comes with an autograph from the author. And then over here, some Prince shirts. So this is North Memorial Health Center, and specializes in orthopedics, and this was Dr. Schulenberg's office, and Prince would see Dr. Schulenberg for quite a while because of his hip problems. Now, what's interesting is Prince had a longtime friend slash bodyguard named Kirk Johnson, and on the 14th, when Prince was making up that show in Atlanta, and then, you know, as we know, he would later fly home, that same day, Dr. Schulenberg wrote a prescription for Kirk for painkillers that were meant for Prince. But when they returned, like we said, when they came home, after a few days, Prince was feeling a lot of pain. And so Kurt called the doctor here, tried to make an appointment. So it was actually, Prince ended up dying on the morning of the 21st, and his appointment was actually the 20th. So Katie, tell us what happened here.
Well, basically, I think it was after making up those last couple of concerts and also feeling so weakened from the flu that he was battling that they ended up here, and he needed something for the pain that he was feeling, that chronic hip pain. And based on some of the prescriptions that we had seen, it was kind of your basic things for pain, but also something to help treat anxiety and also possibly something to help him sleep.
So it's kind of crazy that when Prince died on the 21st, you know, we'd just seen Dr. Schulenberg the day before here. While they were doing the investigation on the 21st after he died, Dr. Schulenberg actually showed up at Paisley Park to drop off test results for Prince and was interviewed there and told him that he had indeed written some prescriptions for Prince that were to be filled at Walgreens, and that was basically his statement. So Prince was prescribed 3 different prescriptions here, and I think that he had those prescriptions filled because they said it was close to his house. I think it was the Walgreens in Chanhassen, but there's something over there that we want to show you, and then we'll talk about the Walgreens. About a mile, little over a mile away from Prince's Paisley Park home is this wonderful mural, and I've seen it before, but I didn't know the significance. I thought maybe it was just here because he lived close by and there was a freaking empty wall here, but we actually found that there's more to the story than, you know, just the mural being here close to his house. What was that, Katie?
Well, he was seen at a local Walgreens around here, which is literally just over the corner from here, and we kind of noticed that when we were leaving Paisley Park that there's a bike path that just kind of winds all the way through there and leads right back to the compound. So this is an area where he would frequently like ride his bike and probably shop around here and get food. So it's a lot of local people have mentioned that he was very friendly and they would see him frequently. So this was obviously a place where he felt comfortable.
Yeah, he was spotted over here at the Walgreens right before he died, picking up an order. So we'll go over and see if we can match that up. But it was also reported, you know, once he had that scare where people heard about the plane pulling off in Moline, he was seen riding his bike out here, and a woman took a photo of him like outside of a salon, posted it, and somebody commented, "I thought he was supposed to be sick," and she said, "Well, he looks like he's doing better now." So yeah. He was seen frequently in this shopping plaza, and that's probably the salon right there because the mural is actually right there. So when she took a photo of him outside the salon and you saw him riding his bike right by there, it's probably right there. Well, we thought actually that it was the Walgreens right beside here, and we couldn't find a matching picture, so we did a deep dive and found the actual pill bottles that he was picking up, and it says it was in Minnetonka, the Minnetonka Walgreens. Should we go to Minnetonka to see this?
Yeah, let's go do it.
I was shocked as we were reading up on it. It was originally reported, I didn't remember this, they said that when they found the footage of Prince outside here, they said he was going to like several pharmacies trying to cover like a paper trail, but that actually wasn't true, that he was at he had picked it up at Minnetonka Walgreens. So we're gonna go over and see if we can match that photo up for you. It was actually this Walgreens in Minnetonka that Prince filled his last prescriptions. Why I guess it was so confusing is that they always described it as a Walgreens near his house, which this actually is. This is 11 minutes from his house, and I was kind of wondering, well, maybe the Walgreens that we went to closest to his house in Chanhassen, maybe that didn't exist, but the story was that apparently he was seeing his doctor. So his doctor, Schulenberg, where we just came from, this Walgreens was in between his office and Prince's home. So that's why he was here. TMZ apparently erroneously reported that Prince had hit like 6 different Walgreens and pharmacies trying to fill his prescriptions, but that apparently as they tracked it down, he only went here. And the photos of him, the last photo that we know of, or that they say is him, is an SUV parked over here. You can see this wall and that building in the background, and Prince is pacing out here walking towards the car. The report was that he was prescribed 3 prescriptions by his doctor, and he and his bodyguard Kirk came here to fill the prescription. Kirk went in and got him. Prince was a regular here apparently because of his doctor. So they said that I guess they interviewed the people in Walgreens, and they said the last couple times they'd seen him, he was looking pretty frail and weak. So our last photo of Prince actually would have been like right here. Now, we mentioned that Prince was often seen riding his bike and loved to ride his bike in this neighborhood, and there was someone snapped a photo of him right towards the end of his life. You can see just in the corner of the photo over here the pushing the walk symbol, and he was riding his bike right up here. You can see the entrance address thing and everything right there. So on April 20th, Dr. Howard Kornfeld, who had been treating Prince, he was a California specialist on addiction, was asked by Prince's representatives to come out here and help him. And so he sent his son, Andrew, to fly out here to Minnesota. Now, it was the next morning that I guess Prince was supposed to go to an appointment, and he missed it, so some of his people came here looking for him, and Andrew and 2 others went into the elevator and found Prince in there, passed out, and said he was still warm to the touch. This was about 9:30 a.m. Sadly, Prince was taken to the hospital, and just a little after 10 a.m. they pronounced him dead. Now, I remember at the time they did like a press conference right after he died when really nothing was known, and I remember the investigator said it did not look like he took his own life. So that was like kind of alarming for his fans. Nobody really knew what was going on. But apparently what happened was that Prince had died of an overdose. They found counterfeit fentanyl in his system, and apparently he had just taken too much. And when he was in his elevator, he apparently just passed out in the elevator. And then they found him when they found him. So it was during the autopsy they found out what ended up killing him. They announced on June 2nd that he died of that accidental overdose of fentanyl, and said that it was 50 times more potent than heroin. And they said that they found that Prince had administered it himself. Now, 2 months later, on August 21st, they said that some of the pills taken from Paisley Park were counterfeit, like I mentioned. They said dozens of pills were found at the scene. And they said Prince had no prescription for any controlled substance in the state of Minnesota for the 12 months leading up to his death. It was believed that a lot of the pain pills were, like I mentioned, to deal with the pain of his hips, because he was a Jehovah's Witness, and in that religion they didn't believe in having surgeries unless they're absolutely necessary. And I guess it was something to do with they could not do anything with blood transfusions or where blood would be swapped or involved, and so he was not trying to have the surgery and just trying to cope with the pain while trying to still live up to his performances. It was a really sad time because, I mean, he was 57 years old. He has hundreds, if not thousands, of songs that are still unreleased in his vault, and yet so many fans to this day haven't gotten over his passing. I know, Katie, you are like one of the biggest Prince fans I know. What was it like for you when you first heard Prince had passed?
You know what? I think about it, and there's very poignant times that I've seen in my generation and your generation, and I just remember kind of in a way that time stands still a little bit. I liken it to like probably our parents' generation when JFK was shot, things like that. I remember time stood still in a very funny way, and I remember like opening the paper and seeing Chevy take out an entire page that was a little red Corvette, and it just said, "That was much too fast." I mean,
you were such a big fan. You actually came all the way out here to his memorial, didn't you?
I did. It was actually Prince's family who put together a memorial, a tribute, and I remember probably my favorite person who was a friend of his and someone who he admired. Stevie Wonder was probably one of the best people to see, and it was a handful of other popular artists, but it was just very important because this was his town and this was where he was the happiest. I mean, we even have on account this is where he wanted to be when he wasn't feeling well, so it was just important for the people who loved him were able to just pay tribute
Come to him. Yeah, it's nice that his music lives on. He was able to, you know, he had fought with his record label for years and eventually got all of his master recordings back, his babies, so the family controls all that stuff. His music lives on, the museum, his house lives on. They were nice enough to let us go up there and look around a little bit. But rest in peace, Prince. You are missed. Now this was the little bike trail. This is like it's considered a park. And this is where we showed you when we came in that everybody likes to pay homage to Prince. Well, his house is literally right over here. And so he used to ride his bike. And we took you over to Walgreens. We're gonna show you, this is how he would have went to Walgreens, because it was, and that way you can see a lot of the tributes here as well. And the tributes go for quite a while. It's not just, you know, what you see here, but you go in the tunnel and there's stuff in the tunnel, and then there's another tunnel. Show at the Orpheum. We've noticed a lot of people put, looks like people that were Prince fans have died and their family members have come out and put a memorial to Prince along with their family member's name. Kind of interesting. I remember this being out here when I was out here years ago. So this is Riley Creek if you're looking to come take photos here. A lot of the Rainbow Children have been out here. Prince himself did not have any children, but he and his girlfriend were pregnant at one time, and unfortunately they lost the baby. Isn't that correct, Katie?
That's correct. His wife, Maite Garcia, who was one of his dancers, toured with him for a very long time. They actually were living here at Paisley Park through her pregnancy, and those were really happy times for them. And unfortunately, that baby did pass, and he did spend a lot of his time here between touring and things like that.
Yeah. Now you're wondering, are the tours worth it? Yes, absolutely. The tours at the museum are worth it. If you have the money, I highly recommend you get the VIP exclusive, the most expensive tour. It's a 3-hour tour. Yes, a 3-hour tour. And that's the one I took. They show you his studio. They show you things you just can't imagine that you would ever get to see. His instruments, chairs and things that he sat on all the time. Makeshift memorials all over the place. Now just imagine, Prince riding his bicycle through here. Would he ever have imagined after his passing? And unfortunately, he did not have a will, so that's kind of why things were so crazy when he passed about who would inherit what and all that. But it's crazy to think of. Tunnel he probably passed through hundreds of times is now a fan memorial to him. And the further you take this trail, there's another tunnel, and that one's fully decorated as well. Until the end of time, I truly adore you. Well, my friends, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this retracing of some of Prince's life. Go listen to his amazing music. He was lost way too soon. Katie, is there anything you want to say?
I'm glad that the family is taking really good care of Paisley Park. They were really kind to us inside there. The merchandise is absolutely wonderful. If you're a fan, it's definitely worth doing the tour. And I think there's gonna still be a lot to see from Prince, but at the same time, I think we also got his best. So I think he was someone that ultimately, from start to finish, gave 100% of everything he had to a fault. So I think we're fortunate to have seen him do what he did.
Yeah, and the Purple Rain house from the movie is currently a limited time Airbnb. I'm going to try and get in, but they have a lot of his memorabilia in there on display. So hopefully we can, but thank you for joining us today. Have a great night from Paisley Park. Goodbye.